Hello everybody, this is Harold from iFastNet, greeting you back to our YouTube channel. Our today's tutorial is dedicated to demonstrating the process of setting up Ruby applications on cPanel. We will start by walking you through the process of establishing a static website utilizing Jekyll, a platform based in Ruby. Following that, we will illustrate how to operate Rails, a widely used web framework for Ruby. So without further ado, let's dive in. Kick things off by heading over to Setup Ruby App within your cPanel account and proceed to create a new application. At this point, you will be presented with a variety of options for your Ruby app. First, we need to select the version of Ruby that we would like to use. I'm opting for the most up-to-date version. Next, we need to define the root folder for our application. I'm naming it Site. cPanel will utilize this name to generate a designated folder for the project in our account. Then, we have to pick the domain where we intend to run Ruby. Now I'm creating the application. Our Ruby environment has been successfully set up. Let's take a look at the files cPanel has made for our Ruby application. Notice that cPanel has made a new folder named after the application, and within this folder, there's a file named config.ru. This config.ru file displays a simple "It works" message along with the Ruby version, and it runs when I visit my website. My aim now is to utilize this environment to install Jekyll and construct a static website with it. To proceed, I'm copying this command that initiates with source. This command permits us to enter the virtual environment for our project, then head to the terminal section in cPanel and run the previously copied source command. As you can observe, we've entered the virtual environment, and it displays the application name along with the Ruby version. Alright, let's go through the Jekyll documentation on their website for installation. Since Bundler is already pre-installed in our Ruby virtual environment, we can use the gem file to install Jekyll. This means we don't need to use the gem command, so we can skip this first step. Now we navigate into the project folder and create a gem file for the project with the bundle init command. Next, we use the file manager in cPanel to edit the gem file where we add the Jekyll gem. With this setup, we're ready to install the necessary gems with the bundle install command. By following these steps, Jekyll is installed and the Jekyll command becomes operational in the terminal. Now let's construct a basic static website. We begin by using the Jekyll command to create a new project named MySite. As you can see, Jekyll has created a sample project. Inside this folder, there are several Markdown template files, a config file, and a posts folder containing the blog posts. There is also a gem file which lists the gems required by our sample website. So we need to run the bundle install command in this folder to install the required gems. Now I'll edit the config.yaml file and update my website information there. Then I'll set the destination to the root folder of my domain in cPanel, so that Jekyll creates the static pages in it. The full path to the root folder of the domain can be found in the file manager as shown here. Let's also check the content of the About Markdown file. As you see, these files are written in Markdown language, which is easy to read. Finally, to compile our static website, we need to run the Jekyll build command. Keep in mind that Jekyll will clear all the files in the destination folder each time you build your static website. And there we go. In the file manager, we can see that Jekyll has created an HTML file for each of the Markdown files in the project folder, and our static website is now live. Now let's proceed to install and configure a Ruby on Rails website in cPanel. first, in the Setup Ruby app, I create another Ruby virtual environment for my other domain and call it blog. I copy the command for entering this new virtual environment here. In the terminal, I first enter the deactivate command to exit the previous virtual environment and then paste the new command here. Now, following the Rails installation instructions on their website, SQLite 3 and Ruby are pre-installed in our Ruby environment, so we skip these steps. In the Ruby virtual environment, we don't use the gem command to directly install gems. Instead, we use the gem file. So I first enter my new Ruby project folder and run the bundle init command to create a gem file. Then I edit it and add the Rails gem there. And run the bundle install command to install it. Now Rails is installed, and we can check the installed version using the Rails command. Next, we need to create a new project. I use the Rails new command to create a new project in the current Ruby project folder. It shows a message that it will overwrite the config.ru file, which is the entry file for our Ruby application, and the gem file, so I confirm them. So Rails has overwritten the config.ru file of our project, and it should run on our website after restarting the Ruby application to apply the changes. Rails is working properly. It shows an error that we have not configured any web pages yet. To do so, I follow the documentation to generate a controller and set it as my first page in Ruby. So I copy the Rails generate command shown here and run it in the terminal. Then I edit the index.html.erb file it has created and add hello from Rails there. In the next step, we should edit the roots RB in the config folder and add the roots to our new controller there. Now I restart the application and check my website. It appears that our Ruby still has some errors. To debug it, we check the logs folder in our Ruby project. So I open the production.log file. There are two fatal errors here. The first one is for not having any pages, which we have already fixed. The next error is about the asset pipeline. We need to run the Rails assets precompile command in the project folder for compiling static files. The static files are compiled in the public folder in our Ruby project. So I copy all these files to the root folder of my website, which is the public HTML folder. Now I restart my Ruby application, and my Ruby on Rails website should work. And there we go, it is working. We trust that you found our tutorial video beneficial. If you're interested in more content like this, we'd appreciate if you could subscribe to our channel. Thanks for being with us today.